We are so excited, Daphne Smith, to have you today
Thank you for
with the Council of Elders. She's going to be talking about um, behind police brutality. She's an advocate for the community and especially for youth.
Yes.
So we're excited to have you, Daphne.
Thank
Take
you
over.
so much. Hello, virtual world. I am here to give you the in-depth science behind police brutality, behind police misconduct. There's little to no talk, no conversation about what really happened to George Floyd and all of our young men and young women who have lost their lives due by the hands of police and law enforcement. I'm not here to shed my opinion. I'm giving you the hard facts. And hopefully these hard facts, the science behind it all, will shed light on the next step in having in-depth conversations with love, of course, to undo a lot of the systemic injustice that's going on in our communities. Ms. Marlin did introduce me as an activist. I'm a voice of the young people. I'm a voice and an advocate for those who want to speak up and use science. And me being a science teacher, me being a scientist for so many years, I'm here to share that information with you. One thing you have to understand, as human beings, we all respond to stress. We all respond to trauma. Our bodies prepare for those moments of danger, chemically, physically, mentally. So there's a lot going on in the human body that we really don't understand. So I'm here to kind of break it down for you a little bit. There are 3 methods to a person sensing any danger. And I want to say any danger because when I want to go back to George Floyd, and I want to go back to those moments, and I want to tell you it was heart-wrenching to watch the video, but I had to, because as a scientist, I had to break it down bit by bit to shed light on the science behind his death. So there's a moment immediately when George Floyd felt he was in danger, and he was in danger. His body could go into 3 methods: fight, flight, or freeze. And I'm going to break down those 3 methods for you. So, of course, these 3 methods are natural responses. No one can dictate which method of stress response I go into. No one could dictate what stress response George Floyd went to. No one could dictate or determine what stress response, traumatic stress response, Breonna Taylor had undergone. So these are natural instances where the body senses danger, senses harm. So I want to basically talk about what do we do in the time of stress or the time of danger. Fight kind of looks like this. You're walking your dog, and your dog is being attacked by another dog. And in response, without thought, you immediately begin to protect your dog, okay? Instantly, physical actions are taking place. Freeze kind of looks like this, kind of sounds like this. You're walking across the street and you hear sirens, you hear the screeching of car brakes. You don't run across the street, you stop dead in your tracks. You immediately freeze, almost like you're frozen in time. At that moment, you're in freeze mode. And then the third one is flight. And this is what flight looks like. Flight is an escape method. So say, for example, there's a building. You're in a building and it's on fire. You immediately start to run. And you've seen plenty of people, when they hear something or see something, they begin to run. So those three methods that we naturally respond to harm, and I do want to indicate that that is very significant because the body naturally responds to harm by fight. We're fighting for our lives. We flee or we flight, we go in flight mode, and we literally escape, we run. And then the last one is freezing. We stop dead in our tracks and we become completely still. So there's parts of the brain, and I'm not going to go into the parts of the brain, but every part of the brain operates in this on and off switch. We immediately go into what is called the nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system has a way of turning that switch on and say, hey, you know what? I'm in danger, and I need that part of that brain to start initiating what I need to do to protect myself, to make myself feel safe. Now, going back to these trauma indicators, sympathetic nervous system immediately kicks in. The switch is on. Heart rate goes up. Blood pressure goes up. Our body movements begin to change. It takes 20 minutes. And let me stress that we know what 8 minutes and 46 seconds feels like, looks like, sounds like. So let's double that. 20 minutes for a human being like George Floyd to come back in a calm state and feel safe. 20 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, that didn't happen. In the cases of our young people in our communities all over the country, 20 minutes is not given to them. So when you think about the amount of time it takes for the body to come back to its calm state, the inevitable happens. And these are the scientific concepts that need to be brought to the table so that we could have a real conversation about racism and social injustice. So after that sympathetic nervous system kicks in, I'm in danger, 20 minutes has to begin. That amount of time has to begin for the body to naturally calm back to its calm state. And the next part of the body, called the parasympathetic nervous system, kicks in. Heart rate comes down, blood pressure is normal, body is at a safe place. There are triggers that a person of fight mode, a person of flight mode, a person of freeze mode has undergone, whether it's consciously, whether it's unconsciously, whether these are things that plight our community. These are natural triggers. Some of the triggers are, for example, unpredictability, sudden change, transition from one setting to another, loss of control, feelings of vulnerability, loneliness. So there's a psychosocial, cultural connection to the demise of our young people, our young men and our young women. And there's a disconnect between law enforcement and our community and our citizens. These are citizens. They're not criminals. They are citizens who should be well respected in their community or wherever they go. And because of that disconnect, because of the lack of empathy, because of the lack of understanding of these triggers based on their natural trauma, I call it a natural survival instinct. These unforgivable, and it's very hard to unforgive, these heart-wrenching, these disgusting acts occur in our communities all over the country. So fight might look like crying, hands in the fist. We've seen some of these behaviors throughout the protesting and throughout activity these past couple of weeks. Flex, tight jaw, fight in the eyes, glaring, desire to stomp, kick, smash with legs and feet, feelings of anger, rage. Now, these are all behavioral characteristics, physical characteristics of a person who is in fight mode naturally, not someone who was provoked to be in fight mode, someone who was naturally in that response, okay? Another one, homicidal, suicidal feelings. These are all things that a person in fight mode will naturally do without thought. Knotted stomach, nausea, burning stomach, okay? Now, flight might look like this: withdrawal, escaping, running away, self-isolation, avoidance. It also looks like this: restless legs, numbness in the legs and the feet, anxiety, shallow breathing, big darting eyes like mine right now. I'm not in flight mode. I'm gonna tell you what mode I'm naturally in, but I'm not in flight mode. But the big darting eyes don't indicate a person who is suspect. This person is in danger. This person is in harm. Leg and foot movement. I teach science, and I can't begin to tell you, I teach science to middle schoolers, and I can't begin to tell you the number of times I have students at their desk tapping. You ever seen students do that? And they're moving their legs. That's not an indication of aggression. That's an indication of, I need to escape. I don't feel safe. Reported observed fidgetedness. So they begin to fidget, trying to grasp what is going on with them and what's going on around them. Feeling trapped, tense, restlessness, and a sense of running in life. That's what flight looks like. Freeze looks like this: stilling, watchfulness, looking dazed, daydreaming, forgetfulness, shutting down emotionally. The person begins to stop talking. You know, I'm a science teacher, and you know, and in my culture, in educational culture, a student who does not say anything when I'm trying to talk to them, that is often looked at as aggression. But again, this student is in danger. This student senses harm. It may look like feeling stuck in some part of the body, Feeling cold, frozen, numb, pale skin, sense of stiffness, heaviness, holding of breath, restricted breathing, sense of dread, heart pounding. Now, you would think the heart rate would go up in this instance. The heart rate goes down. So when you look at situation regarding George Floyd, you have to ask yourself, and this is what plagues me every single day, what state was he in? He wasn't in a state of aggression. Breonna Taylor wasn't in a state of aggression. All of our young people weren't in a state of aggression. They were in a state of harm. They were in a place where their bodies immediately felt danger. And then orientation to the threat. So, unfortunately, law enforcement doesn't know what fight, flight, or freeze looks like. Number one, there's not a chance for the victim, for the citizen, to be able to say, hey, I don't feel safe here. I had a conversation with a law enforcement, and he tells me that it's possible for them to determine how much force is applied, reasonable force is applied to the person in question. And I raised my hand, and I was burning to answer that, to respond. So it's humanly impossible. I'm a biologist. I minored in chemistry, but I'm also a physicist as well. You would have to be a physicist to really calculate how much force you would apply on a person to subdue them, to silence them, to sedate them. That's humanly impossible. I didn't see you measuring angles. I didn't see a scientist there at the scene of question. So these are conversations that we need to have. Community members, community citizens, families, parents, youth of all ages, and law enforcement. And most importantly, our law officials. So there's so many triggers. I mean, there's a list. There's physical triggers that plague our communities. There are relational troubles that trigger these responses. There's productivity. There's social economic troubles that plague us and keep us in these modes. But I also want to show you what actually happens if a person is either in fight mode, fight, or freeze mode. And I would love to have someone to come and volunteer and volunteer to be my assistant in what I call the fear of the black box. I'm not pushing any buttons here, but these are conversations we need to have. I took an old shoebox. Are you going to be my assistant? Are you going to be my volunteer? Okay. I purposely took an old shoebox and I spray painted it black for a reason. But then if you notice, there's an opening. And my volunteer is going to place her hand in this box. She doesn't know what's in this box. But I can already sense that there's some fear, am I right? A little bit.
I hope it's not a snake.
It's not. But I'm not going to tell her what's in the box. The box is spray painted black. The flap is white. So there's some subliminal reasons why I set the box up this way. So what I want you to do, Miss Marley,
Yeah.
what I want you to do is I want you to place your hand inside the box, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your heart rate, okay? Place your finger on the right one right here, love.
My left.
Let me see. Over some. Over some. There you go. So I'm just taking her heart rate. It's detecting a pulse. 79 beats per minute. I could tell her heart is beating a little fast, right, Miss Marley? A little bit.
Used to rubber gloves and
108 beats per minute. We got about 12 seconds left.
Okay.
So now it's going down. So now her heart rate is decreasing. So that would indicate, so you're at 70, you are at 75 beats per minute. That doesn't indicate that she's in fight mode. She was either in freeze or you were either in flight. So the science, thank you so much, Ms. Marlin. So the science behind it is, it's humanly impossible to know the state of our citizens when they're being questioned, when they're being thrown to the ground, when they are placed on the ground with their bodies subjected to force, unreasonable, inhumane. It's humanly impossible. There has to be the science. There's no time for our citizens to come back to a state. And Ms. Marlin, she might have to come back. She might need 20 minutes, just to come back to a state of calmness. So, virtual audience and everyone here today, I want you to know who you are. And when I say that, I want you to take this test. This test determines if you are a fighter. I know what I took the test. If you are a freezer, and if you are a fleer. Hopefully, my law enforcement community, my partners, and I hope to partner with them soon. I hope that they begin this conversation, and I want them to take the test because no one knows. No one knows what is your go-to when you are in distress, when you are in danger. And until we get to have those conversations, we will continue to see the effects of police brutality. It's beyond racism. It's a lack of understanding of who we are and what purpose we serve in the communities. If you think about it, what would it be like knowing that the communities that law enforcement serve, if you were a fighter and you were serving this particular sect of a community, you knew how to respond. So ladies and gentlemen, virtual audience, there is, if you could Google, it's called Fight or Flight Quiz. And I wish I had the opportunity to just kind of display the Google website, but you can look it up. It's called Fight or Flight Quiz. You take it, and at the end, it'll tell you what your natural survival instinct is. Thank you so much, and I look forward to having the next conversation about fight, flight, or freeze.
Daphne, thank you for sharing
Thank you.
so much. Now, we need your phone number, your
Yes.
contact, your email address,
Yes.
your website, so if you
Yes.
would share that with our audience.
Sure, I will be more than happy to do that. I speak on behalf of Smith School of Science. It's a dream of mine to start a school to recognize the science of everyday life. So my phone number is 704-426-3568. And my email is S3 Smith School of Science @gmail.com, I believe. But I'll post it on YouTube Live, and you can reach out to me if you have any questions. If you want to have a different conversation about what happened, please reach out to me. I'm here to serve.
And I am excited that you're paving the way too for our
Yes.
new police chief,
Yes.
Johnny Jennings. But I hope that he can incorporate that
I hope
into
so,
his
too.
training with his officers.
I hope so,
And
too.
I'd also love for you to work more with the medical community.
Yes.
Because I know as a nurse, as a clinical nurse specialist,
Yes.
we do that all the time. Love to have you on the TV show.
Yes. I would love to.
Domestic, that would play an awesome role with domestic violence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you
It's
for
all
sharing.
connected.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.